remember the first tournament we went to was IM New York. I did like a clutch, a 1v3 clutch, probably the only highlight I have from Liquid, score 14-14, 1v3 clutch, and there's 10,000 people, just cheering your name and going crazy for you. And I was like, fuck yeah, I did this. That was so close retiring, and I just remember after that game, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm happy I didn't. Well, this gets deep, but my dad passed away, and it's not a secret that when I grew up, me and my dad weren't the best friends ever. It's not like I had a close relationship to my dad or anything like that. But the last 4 or 5 years he was alive, we grew into each other, and I think he started to respect me for my career within Counter-Strike and all that kind of shit, and I then regained a bit of respect for him.
Welcome back, everybody, to a long overdue episode of Time Capsule. I'm going to be honest, I recorded this episode with my wonderful friend Jacob, aka Pimp, all the way back at IEM Rio, so this one has been a long time coming. From Jacob's time as a player to becoming a staple part of the analyst desk. In this episode, we chat about the best moment of his career, both as a player and a broadcast talent, overcoming bullying throughout his teens, and the time he may or may not have eaten 3 kilograms of French fries. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this episode.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on. Oh god, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got some sugar
yep,
now.
there you go. Oh, definitely not sugar. Give that a little look.
No, it's not.
No, it's salt.
But it's good.
It is salt. Normally, I would have the same drink as the guest, but I cannot stand gin and tonic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I fucking hate it.
You should have told me.
No, I want it to be authentic to you.
Oh.
And I've never had to say no yet, and then I was like, I know someone's going to choose fucking gin and
You've
tonic.
never seen me drink before, have you?
No, I've seen you drink like a beer maybe one time.
Yeah.
Maybe when we're having like a long broadcast day, sometimes it's like, you know what, let's crack one out.
Once a year,
with
maybe.
The boys. Yeah, once a year, literally once a year. Are time capsules a thing in Denmark?
They are on like the format of a time capsule, I guess. Sometimes there's certain television programs who fancy that format, yeah. But I think if you were to ask the average guy, then they'd be like, no, what is that?
No, what's time capsule? Okay, yeah, it was such a personal part of my childhood, and I'm discovering it's very British because everybody I ask is like, yeah, I get the idea, but like never done one myself. So the idea is for it to like symbolize you as a person right now, so that if you were to like open it up in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it would be like, oh, this was fucking really 2024 Jacob, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're doing this for me, actually?
Yeah, this is like therapy. It's like free therapy.
Sick, yeah. I need that.
Yeah? The first category is something from your childhood.
Okay.
Now, I sent, just to give full disclaimer, I sent these to Jacob earlier and he was like, no, I want to be surprised.
Yeah.
So some people like coming into it with a bit of thought. Some people don't, but if there's something from your childhood that sticks out right now, what would it be?
Something from my childhood that sticks out. Many things. I think, are we looking at a positive or negative angle or whatever?
Either. Something that like, I think it's the sort of pertinent things to you right now, right?
Yeah.
When you reflect back on your childhood right now, like what? It's starting really deep, sorry.
Yeah, I think I would think back to my school years, and probably the school years where I was bullied a little bit, That's something that really stuck with me for both for good and bad things throughout the rest of my life. It's something that I feel I constantly refer back to that. Whenever I'm faced diversity or whenever I face a certain situation which I'm not happy about, then I sometimes use some of the childhood memories and those feelings that build up during that time either as a motivating factor or also as a way of, I was really not feeling well back then, and today I feel much, much better. So it's also a way of, balancing out the self-pityness sometimes, in terms of if you feel, Jesus, I'm here at IM Rio and we're working long hours, and this goddamn game just went to the third map. Then, it's also a way of, you're in a good place right now compared to where you once were. So I think in general, just the years I was bullied in school is something I tend to use it a lot, in terms of my mindset and drag energy from it.
Okay, two sides to this. When you were dealing with it in that moment, because I think in esports there's a particularly high percentage of people that did experience being, from being picked on versus like proper bullying, we're kind of like, in the nicest possible way, like kind of the outcasts that have found a way together.
In many ways, yeah.
And I think obviously the perception of like being into video games is changing and stuff, but when you were in that moment and like people were picking on you, saying nasty things, doing nasty things, how did you deal with that? Was it a healthy way to deal with it?
Probably not. The relationship I had with my parents now, my dad is no longer around, but even my mother, like I never spoke feelings with them. You know, it was never like, I never had like a heart to heart. I feel like this, or, you know, me being picked on or being bullied makes me feel like this. It was more so they could see my reaction. They could see me, you know, I would leave school early, you know, I would come home and I'd be mad, you know, and I think my way of dealing it was more so being mad, you know, and frustrated and sometimes even aggressive, you know, which is, you know me, right, better than most people do, and you spend a lot of time with me, and I guess you never see me be aggressive before.
No.
You know? So I think that's also why, you know, look back at it, that brings the worst out of me, you know, being picked on and being treated unfairly. I think that's what I always, you know, comes to mind. But I never really dealt with it, you know, and I think that was one of the issues. I never really sat down with my parents, never sat down with a psychologist, never sat down with anyone. Sometimes my sister I could have a conversation with, used her a lot, and she was like a good bouncing back, so to speak. But apart from that, I when you ask me, like I think I never dealt with it, you know, per se. I just, as I said, I sometimes think about it, you know, and think about why I react the way I do or why I feel the way I do, and I think a lot of it stems from back then.
Is your sister close in age?
5 years apart. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird.
It is. It is a weird
not
one,
weird.
yeah.
That's the wrong word.
We had a classic brother-sister relationship. You know,
Yeah.
we used to sleep together all the time. When she was, that sounds weird, but when she was 16, when she was 16,
not
and I was
like that.
not
Chad,
like that.
Not
you
like
know?
that.
Don't worry. No, but
No,
like
when you were a kid, like you'd have like baths and stuff like that. It was totally innocent.
Yeah,
like,
but even when I was like, she was 16, I was 12. I would always, you know, ask her if I could sleep with her because it was nice, it was cozy, and we would read. You know, she'd read for me, and I'd fall asleep while she was reading, and we had like a very close relationship when we were kids.
That's lovely.
Then esports came into my life, and now I'm no longer home, as in ever, you know, and we're growing apart. But we had a very close relationship.
That kind of makes sense because like there's been a few times where you've said when you know. I think we've seen with Mezzi recently, like he's chosen to skip an event because he's given birth to his wife has given birth to the child. And there's been a couple of events, or maybe not a couple, maybe just one that I'm thinking of. When your sister got married, did you have to skip something for that? Did she get married?
Yes, that was last year.
Or maybe it was during the play break. I don't know, but it was something where you were like
the Esports World Cup last year.
when it was G8. Yeah. And you were just like, I'm not doing this because this is the priority.
Truth to be told, that was the first time ever I have ever skipped out on an event. That was the first time I ever prioritized family, sister above Counter-Strike.
Wow.
So that was like a big one for me. It was a no-brainer. You know, it was a non-negotiable. I'm not gonna miss my sister's marriage, but I did feel bad about it. You know, I did feel like, fuck, okay, so I'm missing out on this event. Does it mean I'm not coming back next year? Does that put me in a position, you know, and you know how it is in our circle. So yeah, it was a non-negotiable decision. It wasn't like I was close not doing it, but it felt weird at the time.
Yeah. So your parents knew that you were being picked on.
Yeah.
I imagine they tried to make an effort. I think with like guys, it's quite
they spoke to
different.
the
but
teachers, you name it. You know, spoke to some of the teachers and did what a parent would do, but nothing out of the ordinary.
Was it like because of a video game angle, or was it just like, hey, this kid's a? I definitely felt the victim of an easy target.
It was in the period when I was growing bigger. You know, when I was 12 years of age, 13 years of age, I was a normal kid, you know. I played a lot of handball, big sport in Denmark, and was quite good at it. Played at a talent team as well, and all that kind of stuff. And then Counter-Strike and computer games came into my life, and you know, I just started to grow bigger and bigger. And my position in handball went from being, you know, I used to be what's called a playmaker, which is like a very vital position in handball. And then I grew in to becoming a little bit bigger of size at that age, and then I constantly changed position on the field to something less important. Because I got bigger and bigger and bigger. And that was just like a spiral where at some point I went from being the main character, so to speak, on the field to be just the guy who was sitting on the bench. And then obviously I didn't want to do that, you know, so I stopped playing handball. So it was just like a circle of me getting more and more fat, to be honest, and losing interest in pretty much anything but Counter-Strike.
You've been like, I think you're very open in terms of like the weight gain and loss journey. So, I mean, if anything is like too much, then just tell me to stop. But why was it just down to video games that I I came into video games after I competitively swam.
Yeah.
I could eat whatever the fuck I wanted.
Yeah.
Would never gain any weight. But I'm also very lucky to come from a family where everyone is relatively lean. Like, I think sometimes genetics do play into that factor. Was it just a case of, okay, I've stopped doing so much physical activity, my diet hasn't changed, or was it you're staying up late at night, the junk food's more appealing, that sort of side of things?
It was a bit of both, you know. I think when I played handball, it wasn't like I was a skinny kid, but I was just a normal kid. But yeah, my diet did change for the worse, you know. And it was also a way of, I think, a big part of that was coping with the being picked on, you know.
Yeah.
So whenever I'd go home from school, I would always, I lived quite far away from my school, so I had an hour in a bus every day, back and forth. I had to change a couple of times as well. And for a kid being 12, 13, 14 years of age, that's like the worst way of spending your time ever, sitting in a bus, you know. You're hating your life and the bus is late or you missed the bus or whatever, you know. It was just also a terrible memory from my childhood.
Yeah.
So the way I would, you know, mitigate for that would be to go to the gas station and buy cakes, buy chips, buy, you know, a can of Coke or whatever, you know. So I had something on the trip every day, and that just become a habit, you know. I would probably, like a great example I always use when I speak about it, a normal day for me would be done with school, go to the gas station. I'd probably buy 2 bags of, you know, large-sized chips. I'd buy a cake of some sort. I'd buy a hot dog of some sort. I'd eat that, you know, eat one of the bags of chips on my way home. Then I'd come home, eat another bag of chips, you know, go down, have dinner, then go up to my room again, play, and eat another bag of chips, you know. And that would be a normal day for me, like eating 3 large-sized bags of chips. So it went very rapidly, you know, at that period, because I just created some bad habits, you know, and I think I did that to deal with being picked on, and it was like a comfort thing, you know.
Yeah,
so,
no, comfort, that's like the
you're
key
sitting in the
thing,
bus,
right?
you hate your life, and you're sad, and you're mad, and everything, and the only thing that made me happy was just eating chips. And
Yeah,
cake,
what
you know.
else you got?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's, and especially like your teenagers as well. Like your emotions
Exactly.
are all fucking over the place. Like, what's the immediate gratification?
Yeah, exactly.
Was there a point where you, like, did you notice the weight gradually coming on, or was there a point where it was just like, oh fuck, this is who I am now? Like it just, it apparently happened.
I think it happened quite rapidly, you know, at the period where I went from playing sports, handball, football, you name it, to not, you know, it took half a year for me to gain maybe 10, 15 kilos. And when you're a kid, that's a lot. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that happened quite quickly, and then it just never slowed down, you know. It was just, obviously I didn't gain 5 kilos every week, you know, more or less impossible to do, but it was it was fast, you know. I went from probably being at 60 kilo as a kid, you know, to weigh, I think the largest I've ever seen my scale be at was 132 kilos when I was 18 years of age. And I was like, fuck, you know, that happened in 4 years. So it was quite fast, but it's not something, it wasn't like I had a moment of realization or anything like that. I just knew that, okay, from now I'm just fat, you know, that's my life.
Going back to like the bullying side of things, was there, how long did it last for?
It lasted until I went to the gymnasium or high school in Denmark. I think once you got out of, we call it ground school, then it kind of stopped, because that's also when you're starting to, you know, you start to have classmates who are at a certain age, you know, where bullying is no longer cool. It's just either you're cool or you're not, you know. And believe it or not, I've always been like the kid that, despite being a big guy, despite being not a popular type, I've always been part of the popular groups, you know, within the school circuit. You know, I've always been a quite funny guy to be around, I'd say, and you know, I would take piss on myself being a large guy. You know, so the stereotype of a big fat guy being funny and could be, you know, making fun of himself, you know, while doing so. So I think that was attractive to some of the other kids I was around with, especially in high school. So I was part of a nice friend group there, and those are also some of my best friends today that I still hang out with. So it kind of, I wouldn't say it went completely away, you know. People were still, you know, a little bit, you know, talking about you behind your back. And obviously when you are, you know, 16 years of age and you weigh 130 kilos, then people will talk about you one way or another. But I didn't feel picked on or bullied after ground school. I just felt that, you know, if anything, I picked on myself, you know, and I was mad about me getting to that state. I mean, if you're the one using it against yourself, then what else are they going to use against you? You know, and I think that's a great example of, you know, before where I take some of the learnings from back then and use them now, you know, certain ways in our work life. You know how we can get critiqued for X, Y, and Z. You know how some, you know, parts of the community will be after you no matter what you say and no matter what you do. And sometimes, you know, the best strategy to that is just, you know, as you say, take away the armor, you know, take away the ammunition. Just go in there and own whatever you've said or own whatever you did. And then at that point, what are they going to say? You know, you're saying it yourself. So I think that's a great way of dealing with certain things. Obviously, I wouldn't do it in all scenarios of life.
No.
But it's a good thing to be able to do, and self-awareness is probably it's a strong character of who I am and what I stand by, sort of.
Yes.
In a sense that I don't want to think too highly of myself. I'm just a regular guy talking about video games, riding my bike at the end of the day. It's what I do and what I love.
Oh, like you said about the aggression side of things, and then on, which I've never seen of you. Obviously, that's something that you.
I hope you haven't. Yeah.
No, I've never seen you get like confrontational. Not that I wouldn't trust if something was really going wrong. You wouldn't be like, hey, this isn't right. But I've just never seen you in that situation like get like too angry about it.
It takes a lot to get there, but trust me,
Yeah.
if you see it, you wouldn't be in doubt.
And then you said the word self-pity earlier, and I was just like, I could not think of somebody that's less self-pitiful than you. Like, I've never seen you be like, oh, woe is me.
No.
I think it's like, you seem like a very pragmatic person. Like, if there is a problem, you will either find a solution or you don't, and then you live with it. Like, I don't know, you just seem very literal.
True. I think that's one way my ex-girlfriend described me, almost sometimes too pragmatic, in a way, because I'm always looking for a solution. Like sometimes, when you have an argument or when she would come to me with a problem, then the last thing you want to hear is like a guy finding a solution. Sometimes you just want to feel something, and you just want to be like, okay, I feel like this, or I hate this because X, Y, and Z, or this girl is a bitch, and now I want you to listen to it. I'm like, yeah, but what if you did this and what if you did that, and maybe you wouldn't think if you did that, and she was like, shut up, It's like, that's not what I need from you right now. So you're spot on when you're saying that it's pretty much anything I face in life. I try to find a solution to either live with it or to make it a positive thing, or to work around it in a way that makes it, as you said, bearable in a way.
I think I don't know whether there's like a few people I know where they've had some shit happen to them where they couldn't control anything, and that has either thrown them one of two ways. It's like, okay, life is just a roller coaster and I'm on for the ride, or it's I'm now a fucking control freak, and because this thing happened. And I definitely fell into that for a bit after my mum passed away, because it was just like so sudden, no control. Fuck, I want to control everything in my life. Do you feel like with your dad passing, how did that affect things for you? Was that just like, okay, shit happens, I'm just going to deal with it? Or I just can't imagine you don't seem like a controlling person.
No. A bit of both, I think I need control over the stuff that I can control, and if it's always a thing of keeping myself up to that standard, So if there's something I can control, I will control it, and if I don't do it, it's on me because I didn't do it, in a way.
Ownership.
But I'm also okay with the fact that there's certain things I can't control, in life. My dad passing, one of them, it's not my fault, not his fault, it's not anyone's fault that he got cancer all of a sudden. It just is what it is. And as harsh as it may sound, I think, I think when you are okay with that, when you accept the fact that certain things are out of your control, it also makes it significantly easier to deal with, because at the end of the day, and it sounds rough to say now, but it's just unlucky, it's just shit happens, and I wish it didn't, and I wish he was still around, but shit happens, and there's nothing none of us could have done about it. And then you can go into like, and if you're a control freak, you'll be like, yeah, but he should have lived a healthier life, or maybe he should have thought about not drinking as much wine as he did, and all that kind of shit. But that's, that's circumstantial for whatever life he had, and he wouldn't change that, even if you confronted him with him, so there was no changing that at all. So I don't think that changed the way I act or the way I think at all. I didn't become a control freak. I didn't change character at all. If anything, I just got another source of motivation to be like, okay, now one of the things I want to make sure of is that if my dad were somehow, watching us from abroad, or watching down on me, I just want him to feel that I'm a good human being. I think there's a lot of certain situations where I'm like, okay, I have two avenues here. I can confront someone with something or act in a certain way, and I can let it slide or try to be a little bit more reasonable. And sometimes I use the thought of, okay, what would my dad think if I did this? He'd probably think I'm an idiot, so I'm gonna go this way. And that's a way of controlling yourself, or at least steering your way of acting, in rough scenarios. So I think that's how I used it, to get inspired by it, or at least live by the standards of what he would think would be a good human.
No, that's a beautiful way to look at it. We started incredibly deep, and now let's go to something really fun.
Okay.
Food, meal, dining experience. It's not necessarily like, oh, I just really like fucking hot dogs. Like, is there something that stands out to you as like, it can be a hot dog. It can totally be a hot dog.
To be honest, Right, I'm single right now, right? And whenever I talk to a new girl, doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, I think one of the first things I always, make them aware of is that I eat like a 12-year-old kid. I really, really do. And you've probably seen that as well. It's like, for me, good food is not good food. I don't go to fancy places. I don't care about fancy restaurants. I really don't care about that whole experience, to be honest. I've tried it a couple of times. I invited my sister out for like a Michelin star restaurant in Denmark as well. And it was like, that was cool experience.
But it wasn't Noma, was it? Did you go to Noma?
No.
I've been hearing a lot about Noma recently.
That's supposed to be really, really good.
Apparently it's really good, yeah. But also costs you like $1,000.
That's the thing, and I have no desire to do that. For me, good food is a lot of food. And I don't care if it's a lot of French fries, then that's good food, or if it's a large size pizza, then that is good food.
Quantity over quality.
Exactly. It's just I really don't care about the quote unquote quality as long as it tastes good and fancy to me. So, to be honest, when it comes to food, also given the lifestyle that I have with biking and exercising, all that kind of stuff, I need to eat an awful lot. So for me, good food is a lot of food. There's nothing better than, there's a place in Denmark called Bones, which is like they're known to do spare ribs and French fries, and it's just like it's an expensive shit place to eat. Let's put it that way. It's not good food. It's not quality. It's just expensive, has a brand, but I fucking love it because it's just simple. So. If I were to invite a girl out, you could go for a fancy place, or you could, and I'd just be like, nah, hell, I wouldn't mind going to a dirty place, eat spare ribs, and get greasy, on the first date. That's who I am anyway.
No, that tells a lot about a character as well. If
Sure.
somebody's, I was so scared to eat in front of people. Like I hated it because it's like people. It's gonna sound really vain. No one looks good when they're eating. You know what I mean? Like if you just take a snapshot.
True.
I just never wanted people to be like, oh, she looks like such a fucking.
But who cares?
When she's eating.
But who
Exactly.
cares?
Yeah. And when you get around people, you're like, oh, these people aren't here because I look nice whilst I'm eating.
No,
you know
that's the
what I
thing.
mean?
Again, if someone thinks that about you, they go on a date with you and they be like, oh, she's ugly when she's eating, then probably that's not the guy you want to be around anyway.
Exactly.
I do a lot of stuff, and I do a lot of stuff to fend off people, and if they get past that, fending off, then okay, they come closer. It's like I try to. It sounds weird, and I don't think I do it on purpose, but I try to push people away or show some of my worst sides from the get-go, and if they pass that test, then I think, okay, here's potential. And if they don't, then fuck off, because that would happen regardless then.
Yeah. That's kind of clever. I've never...
In a way, maybe.
No,
but
because
also
you always want to put on, like, your best face.
Fuck
you always
that,
want to be, like, getting ready, getting dolled up, like, best outfit, all that stuff.
I once went on a date wearing a set of jogging pants and a hoodie, and I was like... She was all dressed up in a nice dress. I'm like, sorry, but I couldn't give a fuck about this.
Did you give a memo though before, like don't dress up or anything?
I invited her to Bones. It was a
Bones.
Bones. It was a shit place. It was like, to be fair, okay, I don't want to be mean, but quote unquote, she was a little bit of an idiot to dress up, knowing the place she was going to.
Yeah,
and maybe I was a bit of an idiot, underdressing for the place.
The place sets the vibe.
Yes.
I think maybe it sounds like you didn't underdress slightly. So it's Bones. Bones is what you're putting in the time capsule. Bullying and Bones.
Know. Yes, exactly.
Yeah?
The BB.
Give me. Okay, I'm going to. Is there a Bones in Copenhagen? Is this a franchise or is it a? It's a fucking chain. Okay, I need to go to Bones then.
It's literally like if I said Nando's.
Really?
Something like that, yeah.
It's like a Nando's.
Just spare ribs instead of chicken, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
What's the order then? What do you order?
That's a extra large spare ribs, and then there's all you can eat fries, which is perfect.
All you can eat fries?
All you can eat fries.
Wow, with that chili mayo and everything? Yeah, I love Denmark with chili
sauce
mayo.
is even better, man. I used to have eating competitions with my sister's now husband, that would be. Where we'd go to Bones, and given, it's a extra large spare ribs, if you can finish that, you're good, you've done a good job. And then we'll see who can order the most extra fries, and keep eating and see.
How many is the most that you've done?
Oh, Jesus. I once, this is going to sound disgusting, I once biked for 3 hours, before we headed to Bones. I weighed myself, before we went into the restaurant, 76 kilos. Yeah. I went out to the restaurant, we eat, went to the cinema as well, eat some popcorn, come back home, and I weighed 79.6 kilos. So I put on 3.6 kilograms of food and fluid in 4 hours, Yeah.
That's mental.
I still have the big stomach.
I've always wondered about that part, the science of, okay, I'm eating this volume of food, but surely it doesn't add this. We were actually, this is fucking stupid. We didn't do it in there because it was fucking stupid, but at EPL, I don't think it was the one that you were there. And someone was like, will you eat this kilogram of Smarties? We're going to weigh you before. eat the kilogram of Smarties
yeah.
and then see if you put on a kilo. It might have even been my idea. I think I'm dobbing it
Yeah,
on someone.
yeah,
I think it was
yeah.
my idea. Didn't do it in the end, but...
Oh, you didn't do it?
No, but I kind of wish I did. A kilogram of Smarties sounds disgusting, though. Like, that's... I would like something like bread, maybe.
Sure,
chips. Fries sounds...
Yeah, delicious.
But I don't know whether there is a science to that. If you eat a kilogram of something, do you put on a kilogram?
Well, I can tell you.
I'm not sure.
No, I mean, a kilogram is a kilogram. So you'd put on a kilo of weight.
You would?
Yeah, but it doesn't stick, you know. It retains fluid. It's just
True.
weight of the food, and you digest the food, and then you shit, hopefully, most of it out. Don't know if that works for you, but no, but a kilogram of M&Ms would be roughly 5,000 calories. And
5,000 calories?
Yeah, ish.
Fuck me, I'm glad I didn't do that.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Exactly. And to gain 1 kilogram of fat, you need to eat a surplus of 7,700 calories. So you'd probably, and that's a surplus. So let's say you did it on a day where the only thing you ate would be M&Ms. I guess your basic metabolic rate would be around 2,000 calories with you being active. Then you'd probably gain half a kilo in fat on your body.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty substantial.
That's a lot in one day.
I saw an Instagram reel, so that means it was on TikTok probably 3 fucking years ago. But this guy who was saying about, you're at the gym, you're working out, you're doing your weightlifting. Is it worth doing the 20 minutes of cardio at the end? Because effectively you only burn 160 calories. And I was like, well, when I run, if I run for 20, 25 minutes, it says that you're burning 350 calories. Does it depend on, I guess it depends on physique, how fast you're going, all those sort of things. Yeah. Does he have, he basically said, no, don't bother doing it. If you're looking to burn, no, and that's, Jacob is making a confused face. Yeah. That's what I thought. It was like, if you're looking to lose weight, surely cardio is the best way, and it's also keeping your heart healthy. So I don't know what this guy's on.
No, I mean, without getting too much into it, I fucking despise that, whole branch of people, influencer types who whenever you do fitness influencing, you have a certain responsibility of doing it in a way that does a minimal amount of, misinformation. And there's a lot of different trends. There's a lot of different things that you shouldn't do, and I hate that whole, you should or you should not, or this is healthy or unhealthy. Like it all comes down to balance. But at the end of the day, the way you just described it right there, you even came to the conclusion yourself by saying it out loud that, of course, the more you move, the more you burn, the more you lose. So is it worth it? Of course. And people have that whole notion about, okay, so how much do I have to run to burn off a Mars bar? Let's say that. And people go like, you have to run for 34 minutes to burn off 1 Mars bar. It's like, yeah, sure. In that period of time, that's exactly what you're burning, but you're alive for 24 hours every day, and you burn calories when you sleep, when you walk, when you take a shower. You constantly burn stuff, so it's just additional. It's just added on top of that. Yeah. And so anything you add on top of your basic metabolism is good. There's no way around it. And if you do it for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes, or 20 minutes, it's just a way of turning it up or down. It's the heat. How fast do you want to lose weight? Do you want to lose it fast? Do you want to lose it slow? If you want to lose it fast, then go for 50 minutes of cardio. If you want to do it slow and progress, then do 10 minutes, because it still helps if you make sure you're in a calorie deficit at the end of the day,
It's interesting you say about the fitness influencers, because it's something that you, it's such a big part of your personality, and you obviously post about biking, you'll post all your fucking Stravas, and I think that's really cool because it shows just how...
It's funny you say that because people hate it.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it shows you came to Cologne and you were going to do an Ironman, but then you got asked to do Cologne and you had to not do the Ironman. Yeah. But I don't think people appreciate how fucking fit you have to be to do that. Not just any person could go, oh yeah, I'm going to do an Ironman. No. Why haven't you had that side of I hate the word influencing, but you have a big following. Has there ever been a side of you that's wanted to dive into that fitness thing? If you want to get just a little bit fit, or you want to, I don't know, learn to run or bike or whatever. That's not something you do. You don't give tutorials or whatever. That's a fucking bad way of phrasing it.
Publicly, but I do. People reach out privately, and those who have the courage to reach out privately and ask for help, I'll always help. My DMs are always open, but it's not something I, quote unquote, brag about publicly, or I advertise publicly. So there's a lot of people reaching out and asking for tips to bike more or run more or lose weight, and I'll always respond to them whenever I can. But I I don't think I'm at a place in my life right now where it's something that I want to do before I'm ready to do it. You know, I don't have the time to dedicate myself to that. You know, Counter-Strike is more than enough. We travel more than enough. You know, I barely have any spare time or free time when I'm at home. So I don't want to take on an extra burden. But there's no doubt that if Counter-Strike ever were to become something that I hated or didn't want to do anymore, then I think there's a career or maybe a potential world where I can combine the two more. And you know, I have started to stream a lot of my bike sessions, you know, and my training sessions. And in those streams, I know you probably haven't seen them, right? But those who do, they can always come into the Twitch chat and then ask whatever they want to ask. And then the way I always phrase it is that, like, if you think about it, you know, you go into a random Twitch stream of mine whenever I bike, and you can ask me anything for 3 hours while I'm biking, and it's in my head, it's a gold mine of information you can get, and you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to subscribe anywhere. You don't have to, you know, subscribe to a newsletter, to a certain influencer on Instagram. You can just come in and be a person and talk to me about it, and then I'll happily share whatever I need to share.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got bullying and we've got bones in the box.
Yeah.
This is fucking
The
wild.
BB, huh?
Next category, I think, is a nice segue because I imagine it's something to do with sport. An achievement outside of esports. There's something that you could put in that epitomizes you right now.
Okay. I mean, cheesy thing would be to say the weight loss itself was a big achievement, but nah, fuck that. We're past that. You know, it is a big achievement, and I think
It's a massive achievement.
Yeah, but I think for most people, it's like that will go down, and I will say that is. Well, actually, I'm lying. You know, that is the biggest achievement in my life. You know, because that changed my life, and it made me able to do plenty of things I wouldn't be able to do if I hadn't done it. You know, I wouldn't work with you in broadcast if I was still weighing 132 kilos. Whether you want it or not, no one wants to hire a guy that is visibly unhealthy. Just the walk that we do from the green room back and forth today, I'd be out of breath. You know, so obviously that's not an option. So that is the best thing that ever happened to me. I think the biggest achievement I've ever had, I think, was this year when I qualified for the World Championship in cycling, amateur cycling, and that in itself was a big achievement. And then the way the race went when I participated in the World Championship was above all expectations. I did super well. Yeah, I finished as number 128th out of 420 people. Oh wow! And all the 420 people had to qualify from all over the world. You know, so it's like the top of the top, and then I was in the top of the top. You know.
Yeah,
so,
you're top quarter.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Top 25% of the best amateur bike riders that participated at that race.
Wow.
And that's something you saw it in Cologne. You know, the last events I've done, whenever I do an event in Copenhagen, when I did Cologne, all the kind of stuff, I don't fly to those events anymore. I drive, because if I drive, I can bring my bike, I can bring my home trainer, I can bring all my gear. And in Cologne in particular, I had a coach who set up like a training program for me. When I did Cologne, we had 2 weeks in Cologne, and I think I did, one of the weeks I did 17 hours of training, and the other one I did 19 hours of training in the hotel room at my home trainer, stationary biking, you know, and it's mentally that's an awful lot of hours biking. But then, you know, I'd put on my iPad up and I'd be watching all the games while I was biking, and I'd be like, okay, this is a combined work training, you know, trip, and I just put my mindset to, okay, so when I leave Cologne, I want to achieve two things. You know, one thing is doing a good job as a broadcast talent. The other one is being in a much better shape than when I got here. Yes. So that was the only two focus points I had heading into Cologne. So I think that whole process of putting in such a big effort while still maintaining my work and still being professional at my work, like obviously if you didn't know that I was biking in my hotel room,
you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't notice, right? Yeah. You wouldn't notice. I wouldn't come less prepared to the games.
You don't come exhausted. You're not like, oh, I'm super tired today because I was up biking for 10 hours.
And that's the one rule I have. I will never let that affect my work, you know, because that is the main reason I'm there. But as long as I can balance both, it's fine. And I think that whole process of training up for this one big goal and then achieving, you know, and again, finishing 128th, it didn't matter, you know. Who cares anyway? But for me, it was like a big achievement, because I know how much effort I put in to get to that point. You know?
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, you don't have to do anything for anybody else. It's about how you feel.
I never really do.
That. No. You said obviously handball was a big part of your like sporting career in your teens. When did the cycling enter the chat?
I've always loved cycling, and I have a picture of me when I'm 14 years of age and I'm overweight going up a hill and I look like absolute shit, you know. But I had a bike back then even. So biking has always been part of my life. I've always been watching bike races in the telly. Always loved, you know, following the bike racing, but I never was able to do it myself. So it's been a part of my life pretty much since, you know, I was 12 years of age. But I started to bike a lot myself doing the weight loss, and ever since it's been my favorite form of exercise.
Wow. I think it's I think I found this about running recently, is like just being able to get outside, like coming from swimming where it's just like you are just going up and down
Swimming
the
is the
same
worst,
fucking
man.
pool. And I loved it because it gave me such when I was at school particularly, it was like, okay, my days are so filled, I'm doing all these fucking things. It's almost like a bit of therapeutic, like alone time.
Yeah.
Which sounds really weird because you are working really, really hard,
Yeah.
but it was like I get to switch my brain off and it's just about my body. Like I don't really have to think for a bit. But actually getting out there and like, obviously you don't cycle as much as you do, particularly being in London. That would be a fucking death wish.
Probably beat that by now.
Yeah. But running is lovely because you get outside, you get the fresh air, you get to explore places, particularly when we're traveling. Like we did a run in fucking Cologne, which was lovely. Why do you think cycling has always been that thing that's like, yeah, that's my a la Counter-Strike, I'm addicted to this?
That's a good question. I think it's super fucking cool, to be honest. Like I think bike riders, and especially the pro bike riders, are some of the toughest people in the world. Like the endurance you have to withstand. You know, when you do the Tour de France, the concept of biking 21 days in a row, more than 3,200 kilometers. You know, the effort you put into that. You know, the effort you put into eating and living and breathing bike racing. I generally don't believe there's any sport out there that is tougher from an endurance point of view, you know. So I thought back when I was a kid and didn't do it myself, I thought they were the coolest guy on earth, you know, the Lance Armstrongs of the world, you know, and all those kind of guys, like they're super cool dudes, you know, because I admired it so much. Then the added effects is obviously what it does to my life, and it makes me able to do two things. I get out, you know, and I get to socialize with other bike riders and have that part of my life, which is fantastic, you know. As you know, I try to separate my esports life and my private life as much as possible.
No, they are two separate beings. Venn diagram, no overlap there.
Nothing, like literally nothing. Never had a girlfriend who was involved in esports. Never had any friends who were into esports. All my friends are like, yeah, cool, you do esports, and I work in banking. Who cares? We're friends, you know, sort of vibe. So it gets me able to socialize with people that share the same interests as I have outside of Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
And also it makes me able to eat pretty much whatever I want. You know that feeling from swimming as well. And whether I want to admit it or not, I do think I'm still a little bit quote unquote sick in terms of, you know, eating. I think a lot about what I eat, how much I eat, and when to eat. And eating is half my life, you know, which is fucked in a way. But I'm trying to you know, calm down a little bit and allow myself a little bit more freedom, a little bit more slack. But it's still a big part of my life. And I think biking is just a fantastic way of burning an endless amount of calories by then eating whatever the hell you want, and then that makes me happy. Every day I think about what I eat next. You know, every day I think about what's the next nice thing I need to eat. You know, we have to eat every day in order to stay alive. So that I love. You know, and I think my way of looking at it was I would always train before eating. So if I knew that okay, tonight I want pizza, or tonight I'm going out with my friends, or tonight I'm doing X, Y, and Z, then I always had to put in. I made this a habit. You know, I always put in the effort before I then get to reap the rewards. You know.
Yes.
Example right now. You served gin and tonic for me right now
It's
before I've worked
large,
out.
Isn't it?
It's
yeah.
large, and
Sorry.
when you came in here with it, I was like, yeah, sure, it's fine. But it's like, fuck, okay, I haven't worked out, so now I have to drink this first and then work out afterwards.
Yeah,
and that's the
sorry
other way around. I normally do it. So it's a good way of challenging my mind.
Workout,
But it's a habit, you know. So I do the same with biking. You know, I love a great ride, you know, a 3-hour session or a 4-hour session, because I know then I can reap the rewards afterwards. And the good thing for me now is I don't work out, or I don't bike with the purpose of eating a lot of food. Now I want to become the best possible bike rider I can be. Like I'm very focused on becoming better all the time. And luckily for me, eating a lot of food, you know, while you work out is one way to get better. So it like goes hand in hand now.
I think the endorphins are also like massively underrated in terms of exercising. Like I've definitely had periods where it's been like, you know, mentally not sound, and it's the last thing you want to do is go out and exercise, but the feeling you get after that, it's not going to solve all your problems, but it's just that load that's almost off of you.
Yeah, but it can be an issue as well. For me, my biggest weakness is overtraining. My biggest weakness is not resting and not taking days off. I have like a training calendar where I can see it coming into Rio as well. I think I told you in Copenhagen as well, I was super tired and didn't really feel well, and I had definitely overtrained, you know, leading up to the World Championship.
Yeah.
In the past 64 days, I've had 3 days where I didn't do any physical activity.
Really?
Otherwise, it's been 61 days of doing something.
Wow.
And on this trip here in Rio so far, where we're recording this right now, I've had 2 days where I didn't do anything, and that's 2 more days that I've done in the past 50 days. So I'm trying to like force myself to rest, force myself to do nothing.
Do you feel guilty?
I do feel a little bit guilty, and I do feel, again, then I feel restricted in what I can eat, and then if I do eat like I normally do, then I feel bad, you know. So I do feel guilty in a way, and that's not healthy, that's not good. Because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, if I overeat a little bit today, but I work out tomorrow, it evens out over time, you know. So I shouldn't be too, you know, I shouldn't be too focused on what happened from a day-to-day basis, but that's my way of keeping myself in check all the time. And I think that's why I'm still, you know, there's never a world where I will ever become large again. Never. Like I simply can't. But I think one of the reasons why is that I'm so much, you know, I'm keeping myself up to such a high standard every day that if I don't work out, I also restrict a lot in what I eat, you know. Great example is the delicious cheese balls in Rio. We've been eating so many of those, and I could eat 10 a day, but the days where I didn't work out was also the days where I didn't eat any cheese balls because I couldn't afford it, you know.
Yes. No, and I don't know. There's obviously a balancing act that has to happen with that.
Yeah, trust me, I'm not healthy in that sense, you know. I'm very much, you know, I think a lot about it. It feels a lot. It's a big mental load as well, but it's, as you said, it's better than the alternative, which is being big again. You know?
Yeah, no, true. Sell the viewers, or the listeners rather, on Girona as a place, because you are one of the few people that I know that's been there. I love it. Super cycling capital.
Yeah.
Even if it was aside from the cycling, it's a lovely little town in Barcelona. What's the best thing about Girona?
It's beautiful, isn't it? For me, obviously, it's the biking and the whole biking culture they have. You know, there's bike cafes all over the city. Don't know if you noticed, bike stores all over the city. Beautiful routes around the city as well. Easy to get to. You fly to Girona. It's literally, the city is 10 minutes in an Uber away from the airport. Yeah, so it's so easy to get around. It's a small city. It's a cozy city. Old town Girona, like a nice, beautiful little place as well. So whether you're just looking for a weekend getaway or you're looking to ride your bike for a week, it's a perfect place. And I think even if you were to, I don't know, if you had a girlfriend or a boyfriend, like a romantic place as well, where you can still experience things, and it's a small city. It's not a place where you want to stay for. I'd say if you don't ride your bike, I probably wouldn't stay there for a week or 2 weeks. At least personally, I wouldn't. But a weekend getaway or a prolonged weekend or something like that, it's a nice place, and weather is great. People are nice, and in general, I just absolutely love Spain. I always said it. When I played for Liquid, right, I lived in Los Angeles, and while that was a great experience, I could never live there. I could never imagine moving back to LA at all. The only country in the world that I probably would move to outside of Denmark is Spain. Like I can imagine having a fucking mosquitoes.
Did you get it?
No.
Oh,
There's mosquitoes all over the place.
Everywhere, yeah, just for context.
No, but I can imagine having a life in Spain, like an everyday life in Spain. I love the culture. I love, like for me, when I go to Spain, just heading to the grocery shop in Spain is like an experience for me. Like going into Lidl in Spain is like, yeah, I want to go to Lidl. You know,
it's different.
It's just different. It hits different. You know? And obviously, I know if you were to move to Spain, that kind of excitement will go away over time. But it's just it's a lovely place, and I said the only place in the world that I could imagine having a life outside of Denmark.
Yeah. No, it's chill. People are lovely.
Yeah.
Just a nice,
the opposite thing of London,
going.
you know, great example.
It's very true. Shit weather, everyone's stressed, but I love it for some reason. No,
do.
I love Girona. Obviously got to be a bit immersed in cycling culture because my now fiance's nephew is a cyclist. He's now a gravel cyclist. So fucking crazy.
You
right?
never told me that.
Did I not?
No. Who's
Oh,
that?
you thought I just went to Girona for shits and giggles? No.
Yes.
I went to visit him because he lives there. Kind of tier system and broadcast side of things has some similarities.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I like watching sports just to see what they're doing. What can we
See
steal?
what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing sports fair. You know?
What can we steal for our broadcast? What games are you playing? Are you doing a crossword in your pre-show? No.
That's true.
Okay, that was the third thing. We're halfway. A moment in esports.
Yeah.
Moment in esports.
Woo.
Back in the land of Counter-Strike. What stands out to you?
Probably one or two things, maybe. My time in Liquid when we played at IM New York. I remember I was like 19 years of age, moving to Los Angeles, very young, you know. And at the time, don't know if I ever told anyone, I was low-key dealing with what I would classify probably, if I went to the doctor, depression heading into joining Team Liquid.
Oh, fuck.
I was in SK Gaming, and it was not a nice place to be. Not a bad word against any of the teammates, but the environment within that team was just shit. Luckily, I got an offer from Liquid, and I jumped on the opportunity straight away because I was actually back then even very close to retiring and starting to already seeked into university as well, which I then declined.
Oh, no way, I didn't know you were.
No, I was very down and not feeling the Counter-Strike world at all. Never been a gamer, just loved competing, loved playing Counter-Strike, but once that, love was taken away because the environment I was playing in wasn't nice, then there was nothing left for me. I had no attention or no feeling for continuing. Then Liquid came aboard and I signed, and I was like, okay, this is my second chance, So I think that whole journey with joining Liquid, getting over there, playing at, I remember the first tournament we went to was IM New York, where we beat Fnatic in what would be the quarterfinal, I think, then booked a spot into the semifinal. I did like a clutch, a 1v3 clutch, probably the only highlight I have from Liquid, score 14-14, 1v3 clutch, and there's 10,000 people, just cheering your name and going crazy for you. And that was like, fuck yeah, I did this. I was so close not doing it. I was so close retiring. And I just remember after that game, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm happy I didn't, because I got this experience. So that's probably the one that sticks out the most. And then from a talent point of view, I think when we did the major in Copenhagen with PGL this year, I think just having a major in Copenhagen in Denmark was nice. And I could feel, you know that, I'm probably one of the analysts out there that sometimes put myself on the line a lot, which means that I get a lot of critique and I get a lot of, I wouldn't call it hate, but a lot of, sometimes I feel like it's harassment in a way. And when you're living your online life, when you're sitting at home or when you're in Rio as we are right now, and people from all over the world are writing nasty stuff about you, you sometimes get the feeling, okay, maybe they're onto something, maybe there is something that I don't get right now. Sometimes, then you go to the major in Copenhagen and you just feel loved by everyone. It doesn't matter where I went. I couldn't walk around in the city at all. People constantly wanted to talk to me, autograph pictures, you name it. And I never felt that I was loved that much in a city before. So it also made me think that yes, there's a loud minority right now who dislike you for whatever reason. Maybe you said something not nice about their favorite player or their favorite team or whatnot. But at the end of the day, it was a great reminder that, listen, I know that you cannot please everyone. And once you're at the events, people are, in 99% of the occasions, nice to you. So I think for me, that was another eye-opener, and also a thing that made me want to continue to do what I do now. Because I was getting to a point where I was like, is it worth it, having to struggle in your own mind, maybe missing your sister's wedding, haven't been to my nephew's birthday ever, because there's always a tournament on that day. Haven't been to my mom's birthday in 6 years in a row, because there's always a tournament on that date. Is it really worth it when you don't have people, fucking harassing you and telling you your shit and all these not nice things, then why am I doing this? But I think the major in Copenhagen made me realize that that's not really how the world perceives me or what we do. It's just a loud minority on the internet who, for some reason, do that.
Yes, that vocal minority can definitely hinder the way
they screw with your picture of what reality is sometimes.
Yes, no, it's distorted, right?
The thing they do is they drag you down to that level, because their perception of reality is that everyone hates you because I don't like you, which is clearly not the case. But I would be lying if I said that at certain points it didn't get to you. As much as I would like to say that, yes, I don't give a fuck about it, most times I don't. In most cases I'm really immune to that. But there's been certain moments where I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? When I don't feel the appreciations or when I don't feel the sacrifices you do are worth it. And that also, to be completely honest, comes from a TO perspective. You know how it is, in terms of, do I have a job at the next tournament? Do I get hired for the next tournament? Do I get hired for next year? Like if I put in an awful lot of effort and an awful lot of sacrifices going to tournaments, and I always try to be at my best, always come in well prepared. If I don't feel like there's a bounce back of that, or a certain respect or a certain appreciation for that sacrifice, then why the fuck am I doing it? Money is one thing, sure, it's nice to make a living, but you can make a living in many different ways. So I need to feel that I'm appreciated where I am, otherwise I'll disappear.
Was that the point that you felt like the worst about it just before Copenhagen?
Yeah.
Was that like the lowest?
Yeah.
I think I've always really I don't look at HLTV forums.
Good.
I don't look at Reddit. I don't search up my own name. I don't do any of that. But obviously still, and this is, some people say, you shouldn't have your DMs open, but I've got a decent amount of opportunities through having my DMs open. So it's like, okay, am I willing to get those good times with the bad?
Sure.
Because sometimes people will just come straight at you to say shit. And I think, not speaking on behalf of all women, but the majority of the time it's to do with the way you look as a girl rather than actually what you're saying, which is like
must be frustrating
because you can't fucking change it.
No.
Like I can't change, you know, to a certain extent I can't really change what I look like. Versus if somebody's going to give me, you know, criticism about what I'm doing on camera is one thing. Constructive criticism is, you know, I will always take that on board. Like, give me fucking feedback. I think that's something that we don't, I don't know about you, but like we don't get enough as talent is actual legit feedback. I would love to know what people think I'm bad at. Give me somewhere to, because I have my own perception of what I'm bad at. I speak too fast. Sometimes, like with timings and stuff, it can be a little bit rough. And actually, this is one thing where I went and watched in the broadcast gallery during EWC because it was Trace and Banks who were hosting. I was doing interviews and I was like, I just want to see what they're doing when the camera isn't on them. And Trace uses hand signals really well. I don't do that because I kind of came into this and nobody, it sounds like I'm blaming other people, but I didn't really get taught to do that, and seeing him do that, it's like, I really should
You strive to be better.
Yes, I want to make you guys feel more comfortable. Like even Steele came up to me and he was like, oh, are there any hand signals I need to know? I'm like, no, not really, but I should. Why am I not doing that? And just being able to look at other people's work, I think is the biggest, you know, it's free. It's right there. And go, what are they doing well? What should I grow on? Also, people aren't, well, I don't think anybody that I've ever worked with are precious about what they're doing.
You want a free advice right now. Like literally when you say what you're saying right now, there's only one thing, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I think you are, I think honestly you are the best in our business. You know what I think you're incredible, comfortable to work with, and it's always easy for me to be on a desk with you. And part of that is also because we've been doing it for such a long time together. Like our blast stint, COVID, you name it, even get to do it now at ESL events. I love it, you know, and I feel super comfortable, sometimes even too comfortable, you know, knowing that, you know, even without hand signals, you name it, I always know where you want to go, or when you, like, I don't feel like we ever step on each other's toes, because we kind of know when, you know, a guy wants to say something or when you want me to shut up, etc. The only thing I've ever noticed that I would change with you is,
let's do that.
And it's not necessarily your fault, but whenever you are being told by the producer that we have to move on, you know, next thing, you have a habit of, let's say that I'm making a point, and my point is maybe taking a bit too long, or the producers in you is saying, we have to move to the next, you at a certain point, you stop listening to what I'm saying, and the only thing you focus on is moving to the next thing. So the second I shut up, you jump on it.
True.
So there's no transition, there's no like, not half a second of silence, then you move on, you know, it's just, boom. And sometimes you make me feel like, okay, fuck, I probably should have shut up then, you know? Like,
no, but it's not, and I should do a better job of like making that a bit of like a seamless, smooth, nobody noticed.
And it's just half a second of silence sometimes that's needed to make that transition, or I don't know if I describe it well enough, but it's like, that's the only thing I ever thought like, okay,
no, I think I can think of an instance where it happened today.
Yeah.
I think it was the fucking,
a lot, you know,
oh God, what was it? What was it today that I was just like, oh, fuck. Oh, maybe it was the team walkout. No, it wasn't the team walkout, because I didn't catch that. I don't know. There was something today where I was just like, oh, fuck,
personally, I only think it's happened once during this tournament that I remember, you know, but it's something that over the years, you know, okay, that's just one of your habits, just like I have certain habits or certain things that I probably could get better at. But literally, that is the only thing I can, if I were to give you feedback, you know.
Thank you. And this is why I brought you on this podcast, to give me free advice, Jacob. Thank you so much. No,
you're welcome.
But it's, okay, this was something I was going to ask you, because I have never worked with any other hosts, because I'm a host. Obviously, Richard Lewis, staple of the scene. You got to work with him in Copenhagen. I obviously, you know, love watching his videos. He was saying that he felt like he was able to bring you a bit more out of your shell and like give you the, you know, the green room takes are one thing, but being able to put those onto a broadcast is another thing. You're never, like, we're going to chat shit in the green room about everything.
He said that specifically about me.
He said he felt like we got the version of Jacob that was like the spiciness, which I obviously wasn't there, so I don't know. I feel like you're not too scared of doing that anyway.
No.
What was it like working with him, considering he is veteran, been around for so long, worked with fucking everybody? Like, he is the man we never saw coming back.
Sure.
What was that experience like?
It's funny because there's two sides to that. One thing is I think he's incredibly good at what he does, you know, and I think for hosting in general, there's just different styles of doing it. You know, you have certain attributes, you have a certain skill set that you can use to bring us forward, and Richard would have a different way of doing so, you know, and James a third one, and whenever I host in Danish television, I would have a fourth one, you know, because I come from a player perspective, from an analyst perspective, that I can then direct certain questions, you know, where I almost feel like I have the power to direct a conversation in a way I want it to, because I already know where I want to go with this, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas you may not be able to be as specific in your way of questioning, but that just leaves the floor open for us. I think Richard was a bit of both, you know. He was very good at allowing us to express whatever we wanted to express. It never felt like he was directing the question in a certain way that I then had to answer in a certain way, feeling restricted. So that was nice. Obviously he has charisma, obviously have a good flow, so I can't really put a finger on his hosting performance in that regard at all. However, it's funny because there's this weird ass misconception between, and I don't know why that is, I think a little bit between Duncan and him, you know, and especially I noticed that with Richard, because I always also, you know, do reach out to people for feedback. You know, I've asked Richard before, you know, if you have any feedback for me, give it to me. Ask Duncan as well. If you have any feedback, give it to me. And it doesn't matter whether I like them or not. It doesn't matter what I think of them or not. You know, anyone who knows what we do, who's able to give me feedback, gives me a chance of at least thinking about that feedback. And sometimes I'll get feedback and I'll be like, you have no freaking idea what you're talking about, or I can't use this for shit. And sometimes I'll get feedback where it's like, yeah, I never thought about that, you know, from this perspective. And then you can use part of it or the entire thing or whatever, you know. However, I've noticed that for Richard, I don't know why, and I don't know if I think he's busy watching a lot of different esports titles and, you know, doing journalism work in esports, and the way he's like, it does feel like he's very focused on certain topics at certain times. So when he's breaking a big story, that's all he watches, all he does for a couple of weeks, which is why his work is probably so good as it is. Yeah. But I feel like he's not watching a lot of my work, because then he would never ever have the misconception of me being scared of saying what I feel or what I mean. Like if I were to ask you, do you feel like you have to do anything specifically to bring out me being spicy? It's like,
I think it also really depends on who you have on the desk with you. Like today, honestly, this was one of my favorite series, because Steele, he just fucking went for it. It was like, oh, that's such a surface level take. Like you're not watching the games, and it's just like, he knows, because I think Steele is fucking incredible considering how new he is. Like, he's got a way of, he's got great reference points. He's also not afraid to say what he thinks. Like you two are really fun to work with. But him just being like, I'm not scared to come out and do that, because he knows that you're not going to get offended by that. You're just going to clap back and go, well, like, actually, and you did. You did it in the perfect way, and it's like, this is exactly what we want. I think it does depend on who is on the desk. True. How comfortable you feel.
That's true.
I don't know. I don't know about from your perspective though.
It's fun because I knew Richard had that, you know, predetermined mind that probably had to work me a little bit, but it's like, you don't, you know, as long as you just give me the ability to, like, I always say what I feel. I always feel like I'm truth to what I think, and you can disagree with my, you know, my takes or whatever I think about a certain scenario, or my angle or my approach to certain things. That's essentially what we do. We create discussions, we create conversations, we create thoughts for people. But I've never ever been in a situation, you know, the past 5 years where I were afraid to say that I think X, Y, and Z is bad for X, Y, and Z reason, you know. And I think for my you know, thought is that probably Richard is not, he's not like us, you know. He has a lot of different things he does within esports, and he's not only dedicated to Counter-Strike. He does Dota, he does his journalism work. So I don't think he's as in depth with what we do from tournament to tournament to tournament. That maybe he had a misconception of what I'm all about, you know. So I take it with a grain of salt. He's more than welcome to think that and feel that, and I'm happy that he felt that he got the best out of me, because, as I said, I think it was fun working with him, and I can't really put a finger on him as a host, but I did remember myself thinking that's hilarious.
I'm very glad. Oh, hello, Chad. Hello. We're just doing a time capsule. Sorry.
I'm very sorry.
No, that's fine. Hey, you were the OG, so that's totally cool. You can stay.
You're already packing.
We're going to do a podcast now.
Oh shit, we're going to do it here?
No, 8th floor.
Oh, bougie.
Right,
let's go. Cheers to Talking Count now. I love that he's back in the scene and he's out of I don't know whether it's retirement, whatever.
Yeah.
I loved watching, sadly from the sidelines, Copenhagen, and just seeing how, I think it's always really refreshing to bring I was going to say something new. Obviously, he's not new, but he's returned
Different.
after hiatus. Yeah, different, exactly. And I think that's where, like, this is what I was saying to, I did a Duncan's series, Reflections, and he was saying, like, he was giving me the question, like, how he does the questions. He's like, would you say you are Counter-Strike? All that sort of shit. And I was just like, fuck no. Would you say you're the best host? And I was like, I don't think there is a best host.
Yeah.
I think there's hosts that are good at certain things.
Yes.
Everyone has a strength. There's no like, oh, here's the best one, then there's the second best, and there's the third best. Everyone's good at certain aspects. And that's why I think next year is only a positive, because we've got more tournaments, different events with different vibes.
It's funny you say that, right? Because I agree. It's like people do the same to us, you know. Who's the best analyst? Who's the best? Depends on who you pairs with. You know, as you said, me and Steele, I think we would have a certain dynamic, that's interesting. I think me and Janko have a certain dynamic that's interesting. I think Steele and Janko have a certain dynamic that's interesting. I think whenever you work with Mausnik, obviously he's a character himself. Like it depends on how you pair the analyst. And I think that's something I want to do at some point in my life, just to prove a point and make a point. And again, no offense to the TOs, and please keep hiring me. But if you really sat down and thought about your desk segments, and you thought about your presentations and your shows and your workflow, like, you gotta pair people correctly. You gotta put together a team that has different attributes, different ways of doing things, and then together they make a good desk. You can never say he's the best analyst, or he's the best host, or she's the best host, or she's the best interviewer. It all depends on how you put together the team, and then make sure that it's a variety of different people, and a variety of people who obviously can work together, but like me and Steele today also can disagree in a respectful manner, and great conversation, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like that's where that whole, you know, whenever people want to do a tier list of analysts or a tier list of hosts, like, you can do that, but then you better make sure that you do it and you create the nuance around it. All depends on who and how you pair them, and who works with who. And you and I have been working together for 5 years, so obviously we're going to be great together. If you would have worked non-stop with Steele for 6 years, I bet you would be fantastic with him as well.
And we have a certain way of presenting things. I think that's where, like, obviously everybody feels sometimes the burn of like, oh, you're associated with this TO, we're not going to hire you because of this. But it's like, well, you can use this person and create a different angle if you pair them with a different person. It's not like we're going, and I think TOs have been pretty conscious of this, they're not like copy pasting this host, these two analysts always together. It's like being able to spice that shit up, I think I think good.
If I were a TO, and if I were hiring talent, or if I were ever to get a position within a TO, I would take a lot of pride in thinking about how you pair certain analysts, certain hosts. You know, I know the commentators are working in pairs, so that's a little bit rough in that regard. You know, that's fair enough. A lot of synergy is needed for that, but I think there's still something to be explored in that regard. And I think we all have, you know, if people were to ask me, are you the best analyst? I'd probably say no. You know, there's certain things I can be better at, but I'd say I'm one of the greater ones, and it depending on who you put me with, you know, and I can enable Janko in one way, I can enable Steele in another way, and Mausnik can enable me in a different, like it all comes together in a circle, you know, and there's, you know, I will also, you know, be realistic and say there's certain things I know that I do well, you know, and I think my prep is always well, and I think I'm easy to work with. I think producers tend to like me because I always like to make life easy for them and all the kind of things, but there's also things that I'm not great at, you know. For an example, I'm not a native English speaker, you know. My presentation, my way of articulating myself, my way of pronouncing certain words, my accent, if that's an issue, can sometimes be a point of critique for someone, which I am open to and I understand. And that's just that's sort of like, okay, I have a foundation I have to build upon, you know. I'm not a native English speaker. I don't speak the language for a living, or I do now, you know, but I didn't when I was a kid. So I have certain things that I need to work on, you know, and I think everyone has that. I think every analyst, every host have certain things they could learn from watching each other, as you described with Richard or with Banks or with Stunner, etc. And the second you stop learning, the second you stop having the desire to better yourself, that's also, in my opinion, the second you stop being valuable in a way. You can then coast for a year or two, but people can see you stop developing. And I think over time, TOs will realize that as well. You know? So I think that's why I've been around for 6 or 7 years, despite not having the most fluent English or the best way of articulating myself and whatnot. But at least I'm trying and I'm getting better, you know. And as long as that happens, and as long as I have other strength in the game, I still think I'm a valuable asset to any broadcast out there. You know, that's the way I think about myself.
Complacency is the killer of anything.
Yeah.
Complacency will kill your fucking career, your relationships, your friendships. Like, never stop giving a shit.
No.
Totally stand by that. 2 more categories. Let's do a song. I don't know anything about your music taste. When I was writing this down, I was like, oh shit, does he listen to music when he exercises? Like, you've never said, oh, I'm going to this concert.
I've been to one concert my entire
Shut
life.
the fuck up. One. Who was it? Is it Coldplay?
No, and I wish,
Shut the fuck up.
I would love to go to a Coldplay
You'd
concert.
love to go to a Coldplay concert.
No, it's probably one of the biggest regrets of my life. It was my very first girlfriend. Probably I'm 20 years of age. Just got home from LA, Liquid, you name it. And she was a massive Justin Bieber fan.
Stop it.
So I thought, yeah,
JB.
you know what? I'll buy tickets for a Justin Bieber concert. I'll be a good boyfriend here, despite the fact that I despise him and I think it's fucking horrible. I think.
Wait, what year is this? What era Justin Bieber are we talking about? Like 2015?
2016.
2016?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So he's like gone through a slight bad boy. It's not
Fuck knows, yeah.
it's not fucking YouTube fresh baby face.
No. It's the level above that.
Selena
It's
Gomez
him.
has happened.
No, but it's
that
like
sort of
him
shit.
standing. It's him doing half a porn show on the stage.
Yeah,
you know, 'cause that's what people-
no, he loves
exactly.
to get naked.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly,
I'd never
exactly.
been, but my friends love Justin Bieber, and yeah, I was a teenage girl once.
See,
So.
this is probably my favorite thing to say. I don't hate Justin Bieber. I hate Justin Bieber's fans. I don't hate Liverpool as a football club. I hate Liverpool's football fans. You know, I don't hate on the person. I don't hate Fury as a Counter-Strike team, but sometimes I do dislike the fans and the way they engage with us on Twitter. You name it, right? I never hate the main character. I always hate the one who likes the main character, who's a piece of shit. And I think Justin Bieber is a piece of shit. And unfortunately,
Wait, you just said you don't hate the person.
well, I
but you
don't
call
hate him,
Justin
but I
Bieber
don't
a piece
fancy
of
him
shit.
either. You know?
Right, but you went to a concert anyway.
Anyway, and that's the only proper concert I've ever been to. I've been to a
Wow.
couple of music festivals, you know, where different people have been playing, but never been to a standalone concert outside of the Justin Bieber one, and I probably never will.
Was that in Royal Arena?
Nope, it was somewhere in
that?
Aarhus, a small
Oh,
one.
he came to Aarhus.
Yeah, but like, I think it was like 80, 90,000 people on a big field.
Oh,
you know.
Jesus, right, you do
Yeah.
have venues up there. Sorry.
So yeah, that sucked,
So
you know.
far
And
north.
so yeah, not Justin Bieber. So what's your question? A song?
A
or-
song. Yeah, sorry. It's more that we've talked about a lot of things,
Yeah.
but never any pop culture.
How well do you think you know me?
I think I know a side of you.
Yeah?
I think you were talking about these like walls that you have.
Sure.
I think I've got past maybe the first wall of.
Got past a couple of those, yeah.
Okay, a
Yeah,
couple. That's more
yeah.
than I thought. But I don't feel like pop culture is a massive part of your personality, which is totally valid. Like, it's kind of, you are one of the only people that I know that keeps work, personal life very separate. And I think I know maybe like 20% of your personal life, maybe.
Yeah.
Cycling and
Yeah.
fitness and that sort of stuff.
You know
don't
what I share, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
That's not a bad thing.
No. Oh, not at all. I think you're on. You know, and I'll be honest. There's very few people within esports, you know, who are past the first 2 walls. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
you know, there's a couple, you know. But yes, obviously, I do listen to music, and
I'm not a robot.
trying to run right now.
I'm not just going 1, 2, 3, 4 on the treadmill.
I don't know, like the way I was like when people are, listen, whatever I think sounds good. You know, I like Coldplay. I like Red Hot Chili Peppers. I like when I work out, you know, on my bike, when I have to get in the zone, you know, I like mindless fucking, not techno, but
Like
like
high
house,
BPM.
something like that, you know.
Yeah.
As long as it has a good rhythm to it, you know.
Yes.
Hype music in a way.
Okay.
But I don't really fancy any certain artist. I don't really have a fandom towards people. That's always been one of my things as well. I'm not really a fan of anyone or
Totally
anything.
agree with this.
There's very few people that I would consider myself a fan of, but more so there's a lot of people I respect for what they do and achieve and how they conduct themselves, you know. You can, there's probably only, if I were to put on my, like, the 10 biggest, quote unquote, what people would call idols in front of me, like certain bike riders, a football player, whatnot, there's probably only 2 or 3 of them that I'd be like, okay, I want a picture with that guy because I like him that much. The rest, I'm just like, I love what you do and I respect for what you do, but it's always been one of those things where, drawing it back to Justin Bieber, you know, maybe he makes good music, maybe you like his music, but I think there's a certain part of his character that is atrocious. There's a certain part of his behavior that is fucking horrendous, you know. But you as a fan, you buy into liking all of him or nothing. It's like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. You can like his music. You can think this song is good, but you can still think he's a piece of shit in this area. But when people idolize people, it becomes like a thing where they have to like everything about him. And I don't like that. And the same for me, like if people respect my work, thank you. If you think I'm an idiot for X, Y, and Z reason, fair enough. You don't have to like the entirety of me, you know. So I think that's always been my mindset, you know. I respect people and I like people, and I would call myself a fan of maybe 2 or 3 people in the world.
Yes.
But I always have that, you know, you can be the nicest thing I know, you know, one of my favorite bike riders, great example. But I can still think that whatever you said here, whatever you did here, however you conducted yourself in this interview was bad of you, you know.
That's so healthy, because I think sometimes people think, like, if you have to, as you said, be a fan of someone, it means accepting every part of them. It's just like, no. You like what they do that made them well known. Like, you can
but I think
like Justin Bieber's music. It doesn't mean you have to like him fucking pissing in a bucket. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I'm not going to condone,
No.
and that's why I find fandoms really odd.
I hate
because
it.
they don't know you exist.
I hate
also,
it. No, exactly.
you're devoting your identity to somebody that, in the nicest possible way, doesn't care.
You're also a fan of something you don't know. Like, you don't know me, you know. So if you're a massive fan of me, how can you be a massive fan of me when you don't know me? Like, you know 60% of me. So how can you be 100% a fan to me? You can't. You can respect me for certain parts of what I do. You can also think that I'm an idiot in certain occasions, but you can't be a fan of me when you don't know me.
Yes, parasocial relationships are fucking wild. Like, social media has just made that exponentially weirder.
And
so
we're the weird ones, by the way. Like, we're the odd ones. So keep that in mind, you know. But yeah, that's true.
Okay, this is actually a better way of putting it. When you get on the treadmill, what's the first song that you're like, yeah, this is going to get me in a good mood?
It changes week to week.
Does it?
Yeah.
Has there ever been one that's lasted 2 weeks? You don't have a favourite song?
Can I open my Spotify right now?
Yeah, go on.
I do
Play
have
a bit of it. Can't get demonetized, maybe. I don't know. It's on YouTube. I definitely can.
Nobody listens anyway. So.
I
like. Do you know who Tom Odell is? Tom Odell? I'm not sure. Tom Odell.
Yeah, I couldn't name a song. Go on, give a little 5 seconds of your time.
1 second. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. You know this one.
Seriously?
Yeah.
This is what you get in the treadmill.
If I just before the World Cup, I played this and I was like, okay, I'm fucking ready now.
Okay, that's kind of emo. Yeah.
In a way.
It does have a build to it.
It has a build, and it also
has
has a remix version that is, you know, significantly more hype, you know, in a way.
Okay.
But I don't know. I love that song, and it's. I think that's the way I attach to music. You know, it doesn't matter if it's quote unquote good or bad music, or house, or chill piano, whatever. In general, I love piano music. I love a good piano piece. I'm a big there you go. I'm a big what is it called, Ludovico fan. Love to listen to that shit.
That's
it's fantastic. So anything with a piano that has a good rhythm to it, I like. But yeah, that one right there, that's old as well. I think that's 10, 15 years old maybe. That's the only one I can go back to all the time and keep listening to.
What is the name and the
Another
artist?
Love.
Another Love, Tom Odell.
Probably also, I remember listening to this the first time I felt quote unquote in love in a girl, I think.
Oh.
And she didn't like me at all.
Oh no!
And she ended up becoming girlfriend, boyfriend with my best friend in school.
Oh.
I was like, you have no idea what you did to me, because she didn't know I liked her, he didn't know I liked her. And I was like, fuck you guys. So I think that's where part of this sentimental value is. I don't think about that anymore, but it's just stuck around.
It's got a place in your heart. Are they
Somehow,
still together? Was it worth the heartbreak?
No. It lasted for 6 years, so that's fair enough, you know.
Oh, okay. No, that's fair.
That's
fair.
Fair game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the
Do you listen to lyrics? Are you like a big lyric man?
when I do listen, yes. Yeah. But not when I work out. The less lyrics, the better, or the more meaningless lyrics, the better. Yeah.
Yes. No, give me a consistent beat, something I can run and pace with.
I'm also the type who would judge you on what you listen to. You know, if you were to listen to Justin Bieber as an example, like but I would probably judge you and
Bro,
be like,
you've only ever been to a Justin Bieber concert. There's no judgment available for that. Give me another. Give me someone else. See, Coldplay, I said kind of in malice. I said that as
I like Coldplay a lot.
2003 Coldplay, like everything after, like I don't like Fix You, but that's obviously a seminal moment in their career.
Okay.
Everything before that.
No, I like Coldplay.
Is there okay, so other than Coldplay, is there anyone that you're like, I need to see them?
No.
Really?
No.
I have such a long list of like, life isn't complete.
I think Coldplay were playing in Copenhagen this year, and I was like, that would have been nice, but then, oh, no tickets, who cares? Maybe next year, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're not coming next year.
Working Cologne or Blast.
I have a deep issue with that's. I don't know if you have that in England right now. I do like English rap, by the way.
Oh, for real?
Like proper English rap.
Right.
It's kind of cool. Dave, I think Dave is called Dave. He's cool, you know.
Saw him at a festival one year.
No, I have a problem with Danish music in general, because right now we have a culture in Denmark where I call it what's the translation? I call it mumble rap. It's
Mumble rap.
Mumble rap.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
they're saying a lot of words. You don't know what the fuck they're saying. They're just saying something. It has a certain vibe to it, and people they fucking love it. You know, it's the best ever. And like, oh, I identify with the song. Like, do you know what they're singing about? No, but it's like so good. It's like you have no fucking idea what he's saying, and they're making up words. It's just like I feel like an old man, you know, when I say that. All sounds the same beat, same weird ass word they come up with, you know, and it's just sick, and people love it.
I would have said like before, like 5 years ago, I was like, I'm just into any music. Like, I'm very open with my music taste. Always like want to listen to new shit, and then like, the mumble rap shit happened. And,
What's your favorite? I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm such a sucker for fucking Charlie XCX at the moment. That is the perfect
Okay.
running. Like,
Okay.
do not her newest one because it's a bit somber, but Brat, just fucking run to that. It's just high BPM, high like anything that has fucking bass in it.
Okay,
I'm such a sucker for that, which is weird because my dad's in music. He makes like, do you know what synthesizers are?
Mm-hmm.
Like big pianos. He'll buy those and then he makes them into software.
Okay.
But he toured with decent amount of people before I was born, and he said he always used to, when my mum was pregnant, he used to like put a speaker on her tummy, and because it's the bass you feel through it. Like, that's why I fuck
You've
with
been
it so
indoctrinated
much.
from
So there's a hard bass line, and weirdly the only instrument he can't play is a guitar. And recently I've been like, I just want to learn to play bass guitar. Not fucking realistic with our jobs because there's no way I'm bringing a bass to all the events. But that's like a bucket list when this ends. I'm gonna be a bass guitarist, actually.
Sick.
You had it here first. No, but that's like what I always
What
wanted.
else? What else? Charlie X.
I love, there's a guy called Tom Misch who's very, like, it's very jazzy. Like, jazz, bass, combo, love that.
I could see you and Mike go to like a jazz club in America somewhere and have a good time.
No, we love just going to random music shows, and especially in London, there's so much. Tame Impala, we saw him in Royal Arena. That was... You were around, but you went, so that was the time when blast groups had the 3-day break. So you went home.
I went home,
So it was me, it was basically everybody else. Me, Connor, Mo, Jason.
So like always, you know.
Joe, we went to Royal Arena, and we actually, you know where the desk was in the arena? I got tickets for that specific spot, because I was like, that would be kind of cool.
Okay, sick.
It was really fun. Love Tame Impala. This song called Dangerous. It's just like insane bass.
I had a music crisis like 3 months ago. You
Music
remember?
crisis?
Yeah, like where it was like I'm opening my Spotify. I have a playlist that I always listen to when I work out. I'm like, okay, I need something new, you know. And then how the hell do I find something new? Where do I go? You know, tried the discovery list, tried top 100, and it's like, fuck this sucks, you know. In general, I don't like mainstream things, you know. If and I don't know if I'm a snob about it, but if it's already mainstream, you know, when I hear it for the first time, then not for me. You know, I want to discover it, you know, in a way.
Same with the deep one. We started with the deep one.
Yeah.
Wait, so what fucking song are you putting in there? Justin Bieber? No.
Another Love.
Tom Odell, Another Love.
Okay, one more. Kanye West with Homecoming as well. That's
I love,
that's a
okay,
good one.
yeah,
That's a good one.
Homecoming's
Also,
good.
piano beat. You know, it's good.
Yes, no,
Yes.
that's a good vibe. Also with Coldplay in there, so the irony wasn't lost. An item that reminds you of someone important to you. Anything.
Someone important to me.
Yeah, a physical object that reminds you of somebody that's important to you in your life.
That's a really good question. I'm not the type who's...
You don't seem materialistic at all.
Not at all.
Which is
Not at
why
all.
I was like, this might be a really interesting one.
Yeah. Really not at all. You know, I feel, fuck man, when I moved out, I had to buy a dining table and some chairs for that. And I was like, Jesus, this is expensive. I don't want to spend my money on that shit. And all my friends are like, yeah, that's kind of what people do. You know,
It's kind of life.
it's life, you know. I am not attached to any physical object at all. Like I don't have a teddy bear. I don't have like a. Do I have anything in that regard?
Did you take anything of your dad's?
No.
Nothing?
No, and to be fair, like, I think we spoke about that. I think you and I, we had a conversation in, was that the Paris Major? When we went out for a beer or something? Where we spoke about, like, well, this gets deep, but my dad passed away, and it's not a secret that when I grew up, me and my dad weren't the best friends ever, It's not like I had a close relationship to my dad or anything like that, but the last 4 or 5 years he was alive, we grew into each other, and he started to, I think he started to respect me for my career within Counter-Strike and all that kind of shit, and I then regained a bit of respect for him. But to be completely honest, it's as devastating as it was losing your dad in a young age. It wasn't like I lost a big rock in my life, because he'd never been that rock. So I don't really attest anything to that.
You don't want like a reminder of him every day?
No,
or anything like that,
and it's like
Fair
I remember him both for the good and the bad,
Yeah. Keep it real.
Jesus. An object. I'm probably the least materialistic guy.
Anything that your sister like? You don't have to have it now.
Yeah.
But was there anything that you were saying about your sister's relationship when you were kind of in school, teenage years? Anything your mom like? Did anybody give you something that facilitated your Counter-Strike career or your sports career or anything like that you kind of remember?
An object, yeah.
Oh, hey Josh.
Hey.
Sorry, we're recording a podcast, right? No, you can.
Yo, what up, everybody?
How was the Furia game?
It was quick.
Very quick.
It was like a flash on the screen. It was on for a brief moment, and if you blink, you'll miss it.
So we recorded the podcast. Was Furia atrociously bad, or was Mouse really good?
I think Furia probably got their mental broken as soon as that 2v3 clutch
On
with
Nuke?
Fed and towards you on Nuke. And
Gotcha.
from that point onwards, Furia was
Oh,
just fantastic.
Okay.
Nothing to
feels bad,
Sick.
man. Well, no living the dream for Furia.
No.
An
An object.
object. We're on the last question of
Yeah.
what Jacob is going to put into his time capsule.
Well, he can be the crowd. I don't care. Fuck, that's a good question. I don't think that is an object.
Really? Okay, something metaphorical then. Anything like any words of wisdom anybody's given you? Any like,
Words of wisdom.
yo,
yeah.
go and fucking do this shit, Like,
Mm,
we believe in you, Jacob.
see, you're exposing my weakness now, yeah? 'Cause no, but
You're not sentimental.
Not at all. And I'm very self-driven. Like as much as I like you, if you were to give me wisdom of advice, or if you were to encourage me to do something, you'd really have to earn my trust and really get close to me before I would accept it, or really take it too hard in a way,
That's a very, I think, a good mentality to have. Not easily influenced. If you
Maybe.
have to want to do it.
Maybe.
Fair
but
enough.
It can be both, because sometimes I wish I was a little bit easier to influence in a way.
Okay, you sound like the most important person in your life.
Me?
An object that reminds you of you.
Yeah.
Jacob's
what a
looking in the mirror.
selfless
What do
guy.
you fucking think?
You wanna care
No,
about
but it's
yourself?
like, it's not a negative. It's like you're self-assured, which I'm sure a lot of people
I
aspire
think I
to
am.
be
I
like.
think if you were, and this is a great, you had this conversation with a friend 2 weeks ago. We're having a glass of wine actually and chilling, and he asked me if I wanted kids, or a wife, or get married, and all that kind of shit. Given I'm single, don't have kids now, 29 years of age. We're getting into that age, And I said, if you were to ask me right now, and you gave me the ultimatum of either you are getting married within the next year, or you're having kids within the next year, or you're never getting married, or you're never having kids, I would say no.
Really?
I would say no. I'm, however, quite certain that if you were to ask me in 3 years from now, that I would say yes.
Yeah.
But that's the way I think. Again, pragmatic. I'm like, right now, no. I would probably not risk saying yes to something I'm not sure about before I'm 100% sure. So I think that's the way I think about that. So I honestly don't know. I think I am the most important person in my life because I'm the only person in my life.
Yeah, that's fair.
It sounds fucked to say, my bike or whatever, but I think
Yes, the bike.
yeah,
the
it's
bike,
like
do it.
No, superficial. I think the thing I love the most, and it's not an object, because that would probably be my fucking bike, which is ridiculous. But I think it's my mentality. It's what we've been discussing the past hour and a half. if I could go back in time and someone could say you could go through your entire life without having to go through the 4 or 5 years of being picked on or bullied, I would say no in a heartbeat. I want that experience to use that now. If people will come to me and ask, listen, you can go back in your life and we can make sure that you never became fat at any point, I would say no, I want that experience because I think that is super beneficial for who I am and what I am now. You know, so I think the most important thing and the most, you know, if you want to objectify it in a bit, that was me being a fat ass loser in a way, you know, because I think as harsh as it may sound, I think it's made me a significantly better person over the years, you know, and I think I wouldn't be the guy I am today. I wouldn't be as nice to be around as I am today. I do consider myself to be a nice guy. I think I would be, and this also sounds a little bit, you know, arrogant in a way, but I think I would be just a regular guy if I didn't have those experiences. And I don't want to be regular. I want to be special. I want to be something a bit extraordinary in a way. And that's what I strive to be. And I think without that experience, I wouldn't be anywhere near close to be that today. So I think if I were to give you an answer, it would probably be that.
Your mentality, your brain. Look, we'll take out your
I'm not
head.
sure there's much up here, you know, but mentality is at least, you know.
Brain, soul, the combo. Yeah. I think that's very self-aware. Again, I think you're a very self-aware person.
Yeah.
I think it's honest as well. Like,
I can't lie, you know. I wish I would. Yeah,
no, I've never seen you like bullshit around something either, which is like mad respect because sometimes that's the easy way out of things.
That is the easiest thing to do, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can tell a white lie, you know. If I don't care about a certain discussion or a certain argument, usually I just ignore it, you know, and pretend I'm not there. But like if I have to do a white lie in order to, you know, diffuse the situation, I'll do it. But no, in general, if you when you ask me a serious question like now, you also force me to take it seriously, and I think
no, it's not that you can't take shit seriously.
No.
Like that's also you've got a good balance.
But you also see me in a green room, like 99% of what I say is just bullshit, you know. Just
he's chatting shit a lot.
That's what I do, you know,
just
all the time.
On Instagram, she'll tell you all the stories. One last question to round out that. But do you feel like you can do things if they're not bettering you as a person? Like, if you're not learning from it, or it's not making you a better person, or it's not making you stronger or fitter, do you feel like you're able to do those things?
For a short period of time, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, if I have to, something as basic as clean, you know, that doesn't make me a better person or stronger person.
Clean yourself or clean your house, or?
A bit of both, you know, depending on the scenario. Yes, I can do stuff that I don't want to, or I don't think.
I don't think it's don't want to,
no,
but like, would you fucking just watch a movie just to watch a movie?
Oh, in that
Would
way?
Yeah. Like, are
unconsciously
you,
just
are you
doing
able
stuff.
to like
No.
doom scroll or any of that sort of shit? Are you like, if this isn't bettering me as a person, am I going to waste my time with it?
I want to say no.
Okay.
For the vast majority.
Yeah.
I think doom scrolling is something I can tend to do, but then I do it on TikTok, and my algorithm is mostly informative shit. You know, my TikTok algorithm is like also like sports science and sports nutrition, and so I do feel like I learned something, and I think that's why they got me. You know, that's the scary part about algorithms. You know, if they show me a lot of, I don't fucking know, beach bikini models, whatever, I'd be like, fuck this shit. Like, show me someone who tells me how to absorb as much, you know, sugar in your body when you ride your bike for 6 hours, and I'm all yours, you know. So yes and no. I know I can't watch a movie just to watch a movie. This event is a great example. I think I Am Rio arguably has been one of the most tough events for me mentally, because I feel like we haven't had much to do in the hotel. I don't have my bike here. You know, there's not a bike at the gym. The gym is quite scuffed, at least for my liking. I know you think it's all right. Weather hasn't been great outside, so I haven't been able to go for a run. We've been working quite a fair bit at the studio, so I feel like I miss a part of my life here. So there's been a lot of hours in my room where I've been playing Football Manager on my laptop, and that doesn't make me a better person. That doesn't give me anything. I don't get smarter by doing that. So that's mindlessly trying to fill out a time.
Did you feel guilty about doing that?
I do.
You do?
I do. I think...
How do you rest?
I don't.
You don't?
No,
you've
I don't.
Never experienced that level of like,
no.
I just need to fucking stop?
I swear to God, like my biggest struggles in life is forcing myself not to train.
Really?
I know when I'm overdoing it, and even when I know I'm overdoing it, I still try to push the envelope, you know. That is my biggest weakness, that I don't know how to rest. And I think when I had a girlfriend, I was together with my ex-girlfriend, Emilia, for 5 or 6 years. We would have, you know, we would be able to watch a movie together, but that would be just as much to enjoy her company and be together, you know, and then the movie is secondary, you know. But I think when we separated, ever since I haven't had a night, you know, or an afternoon where I was just laying in my couch for 4 hours not doing anything. Then I'd be like, okay, I'll lay here for an hour, I'll watch a bike race, I'll watch whatever football game that's on, and then after an hour I'll be like, fuck, I need to do something productive. Then shit, I gotta create some invoices, or may as well, you know, write a script for a YouTube video. Like, I constantly want to achieve something, you know. So I think if you were to ask me what is your biggest weakness, I'd say not being able to rest, you know. And it harms me both in my training, but also as a person, you know. I think I'd be better at what I did, and I think I'd be a better person and have more energy in certain areas of life if I knew how to rest appropriately. But I don't, and I know that's a weakness, self-aware, but still not able to fix it.
Sometimes it's hard. I think especially when you're in the industry you work in, where, as you said, if you say no to a gig, you don't know whether that's going to mean you've got 3 years rather of no's, and that's hard.
It's just a weird way of thinking of life, you know, because sure, it may hurt now. Sure, it may mean that I don't earn the money for that event. Sure, it may mean that there's a risk they won't ask me for the next one. But if I'm serious about doing this job for the next 10 years of my life, then, you know, over the next 10 years, that's not going to cost me the opportunity of that. Maybe it requires me to work a little harder or regain some trust or whatever that may be. You know, I had a period with ESL where I didn't do an ESL event for 3 years, I think.
Wow,
because I worked for Danish television, and they asked me 6 months in advance. ESL sometimes would come 3 months in advance, and by then I would always said yes to TV2, and then obviously they tried to ask someone else, and you kind of was left out, you know. And then when TV2 was no longer of interest, and I wanted to do, even in the time I was doing TV2, I wanted to do ESL events, but if you're ESL, you're going to pick the guy that can do and say yes to everything instead of the guy who, you know, are cherry picking a bit, which essentially is what I did. So I understand that, but that also gave me the learning that if I am good enough at what I do, then obviously ESL is going to give me the opportunity to regain that trust at some point, which they have done, which I think wouldn't say I've utilized it, but I think I've done my best to regain that trust, you know. And now I find myself here at IM Rio. We did Cologne together, we did Katowice together. Hopefully it's going to be the same next year. So I think it's a short-term way of looking at it, and it goes into the training aspect as well, where I feel so bad about not working out, you know, when I don't work out. Even today, it's like, it's 6:40 now, and but it's like it's a great mental exercise, because I'm this close to just calling it off and be like, fuck it, I'm not gonna work out today. And I know that would be the best thing for me to do, because then I could go hard tomorrow and I could feel good about it tomorrow. But no, it's just a short-term way of thinking, you know. So no, not training today doesn't mean you can't train tomorrow, and it doesn't hurt you in a week, you know. So sometimes just fucking relax, Jacob, and, you know, get another gin and tonic.
Hell yeah, let's do it. Janko gave me some good words of wisdom during his podcast, where he was like, you know, you might not get hired for certain things, but make yourself so good that they have no fucking choice but to hire you. Obviously, easier said than done, and it will take time, but I think that's very sage advice. And now we bury your little fucking box with your brain in, bones in, bullying, all the bees. I can't remember all the stuff. Bicycles.
Then we reopen it, or do we revisit it at some point?
I mean, I guess, you know what?
What if we're both around in 5 years' time from now?
If we're both around, we'll only be like 32, 34.
We're the same age, right? You're 28?
Oh yeah, fuck, I'm 28, aren't I? 33. Oh. No, don't
We'll be around, yeah.
You know what? It's going to take me so long to edit this. It probably won't be up for a year. I'm going to be real. And on that note, let's put this in the ground. See you later, Jacob's bot.